We've got shenanigans of the highest order. We really do. Kamala Harris campaign silent on claims that she blew millions, like 20 million-ish, on failed endorsements from Megan Thee Stallion, Eminem, Lizzo, Beyonce. The list goes on. Oprah! Opie! You know what she's saying? Nothing so far. It's been a handful of days since this has come out. I've been waiting for it. I did it. Let's get into it. Here we go. I was watching somebody who was saying, we tabulated all of the folks that Kamala Harris, the famous celebrities, the Hollywood elite, we tabulated all of those celebrities, and they have over 2 billion followers. Billion with a B, right? And they weren't able to move the needle at all for Kamala Harris. What does that tell you? 2 billion followers and nothing. You got nothing. In fact, you got shellacked. Kamala Harris got absolutely shellacked. So you can't buy influence is the bottom line. I'm not real familiar with most of these folks. I don't even really know who Lizzo is. I mean, I've seen pictures and stuff. I'm like, nobody's bought me a concert ticket to Lizzo, right? Megan Thee Stallion, I mean, she's just got some extremely graphic lyrics, right? And she's incredibly good at twerking. I mean, that's, I gotta be honest. When I crank up a little Leonard Skinner, I don't judge them based on their twerking skills, right? You know what I mean? It's just like, So we got this story going on. What's left of Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign has been radio silent on wild claims the Democratic nominee wasted millions on celebrity endorsements. She spent $1 billion in her campaign. Trump's over there just hoofing it from podcast to podcast that's relevant. Joe Rogan podcast, right? JD Vance, same thing. Kamala Harris, she's got, Megan Thee Stallion, Lizzo, Eminem, and Oprah. Now, when I saw these folks come out, clearly they're all Democrats and they've all identified as Democrats in the past. I just thought that the deep state had videos of them getting run train by Diddy and his people. That's what I thought. And then I'm like, oh, they got paid. That's much simpler. Because Eminem, the white dude who's the rapper that can out-rap the black dudes. I mean, he's the anti-establishment king, right? And then all of a sudden, here he is. No, I love Kamala Harris. She's the best thing ever. Make sure you vote for her. And Oprah Winfrey. Nope, I never got $1 from Kamala Harris. Hey, we got 2 checks for $500K to your production company, right? Harpo or whatever that is. It's Oprah backwards, right? So tricky there. Since her defeat to Donald Trump, allegations she paid extortionate. What a great word. It wasn't extortion, but it was extortionate. 7-figure sums to the A-lister backers have emerged on social media. The social media folks that jumped out for Trump. You got like Roseanne Barr. It's just people that are conservative. They don't run around screaming out their political stuff, do they? No, they just don't, because we can't. I can't. I can do here in Seattle, literally coming to you from behind enemy lines. When I put up a flag in Bellevue, Washington, everybody's like, oh, good Lord, that guy's scary. That guy's got to be part of he's got to be part of the Proud Boys. I mean, if we don't like him, fortunately, across the cul-de-sac from me is a retired firefighter, and he flies as big a flag as I do. So, and I know he's armed. So when the you-know-what hits the fan, guess whose houses everybody goes to? Can we come over to your house? I don't know. What are you going to vote in the next election? While some of the figures haven't been confirmed in Federal Election Commission filings, the vice president's staff hasn't responded to claims. She is busy doing an internal meltdown 24/7, the likes of which haven't been seen since the last woman ran for president, Hillary Clinton. Not taking anything away from women, but the two that you ran here, they just didn't, it just wasn't working. I wouldn't have a problem with the woman president. If she's competent, if she's got it going on, hey, You know what I mean? We just haven't seen that. Now, what I would say about Kamala Harris is she was not prepared for that job. A source close to the situation told DailyMail.com that Megan Thee Stallion wasn't paid for her July appearance on the campaign trail for Harris. Now, we haven't seen any confirmation of anybody other than Opie here. And Oprah said, yeah, Harpo, she came out and said, and here's those payments down here. Harpo Productions, $500K. Harris for president is who wrote the checks. But that was for producing a live stream back in March or something. Oprah Winfrey was at no point during the campaign paid a personal fee, nor did she receive a fee from Harpo. Okay, but what are these fees here? Yeah, Megan Thee Stallion was one of them. She performed at a Harris campaign event in Atlanta in July 30th, just 9 days after Biden dropped out. So in order to get these people on board, these people are not doing this out of the kindness of their heart. These people are on tours. These people have twerking lessons to get to. I mean, there's a lot going on in these people's lives. They've got to do, just some crazy stuff. I mean, let's take a little peek. Here's Megan Thee Stallion. Now, I have heard her lyrics. I've heard her music. And let's just say, if I had a daughter, I probably wouldn't let her listen to it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I'd be that dad. Dad, you play Iron Maiden, you play Judas Priest, you play whatever. Why can't I listen to Megan Thee Stallion? Well, you're just not going to. I listen to a different genre of music. There's some Eminem stuff that I'm totally down with. Marshall Mathers. I mean, but not anymore. Not anymore. Bruce Springsteen tossed those albums out, right? I mean, just shit can those. Can't listen to those anymore. But when these folks all came out, vote for Kamala Harris. She's the greatest candidate. She loves people. Women's reproductive rights. Not taken away from that, but they harped on that so hard, and it just didn't get him anywhere. Oh, here's Lizzo. Here is Lizzo. What does Lizzo do? But the whole issue here is none of this worked. You can't buy people's votes. People are saying, hey, you spent $20 million and you had a bunch of people who we can't even afford their tickets. You can't afford Beyonce tickets. Hey, they're just outrageously expensive. And you have to go through a lottery process to get Taylor Swift tickets. I know because we've got some folks that, did a little resale action of those tickets because it was a hot commodity. They were super hard to get. And if you could get a hold of them, then, you'd sell them for some real bucks. So we got Eminem, we got Lizzo. They didn't get back to the Daily Mail. Here we go. Oprah Winfrey breaks silence on claims she was paid $1 million for failed Kamala Harris campaign. Cut the audio there. Reports have claimed the TV presenter was one of several celebrities paid a hefty fee for the ultimately unsuccessful Democratic campaign. So we're going to stomp on her a little bit when she's down because this is ridiculous. This is what not to do on the next campaign, right? Hey, don't pay a bunch of money to these celebrities because it's not going to move the needle. It's not going to move the needle because a lot of the folks that are on the fence, they're like, wait a minute. You're telling me that these ultra rich liberal limousine folks are telling us to vote, but the reality is I can't even afford to go to their show. So how's that work? How's that work? I don't know if you've been to a concert in recent years. It's expensive. If you get a ticket under $75, with fees and everything, you're doing pretty good. If you get one for $50, it's like, hey, I'll buy two. I'll take the whatever, girlfriend, whatever it is. Oprah Winfrey has shot down reports that she was paid $1 million for a Kamala Harris campaign event. Wasn't me. I never got paid anything for it. Never got paid a personal fee. Therein lies the rub because it went to her production company because the production company produced the live stream. Yeah. Okay. So that's how they work it. Not true. I was paid nothing ever. Washington Examiner had reported last week that Winfrey's media company, Harpo Productions, had received a fee. Wah, wah, wah. Insane, right? But is this, the town hall with Oprah, with Opie, had Meryl Streep. Ben Stiller, Chris Rock, Jennifer Lopez, and Julia Roberts. Those are all well-known people. I mean, half those people were probably at a Diddy freak off, right? Jennifer Lopez, for sure. Chris Rock, who knows? I do think Chris Rock is funny, but when they start getting in their political stuff, I'm like, boop, I'm out. The rally was streamed on Harris' campaign YouTube channel and received over 1.2 million views in under 12 hours. Well, that is actually not all that much. 12 hours, 1.2 million views for a presidential candidate. Are you kidding me? What did Rogan do? He's close to 50 million views now. And yeah. But we're not gonna go there because we're only gonna hit a little bit below the belt. Did Kamala Harris pay celebrities to endorse her? Oprah Winfrey speaks out. Yeah, nice going, Oprah. So this is kind of the big story that came out yesterday. Holy smokes, Kamala's campaign wasted $20 million to buy the endorsements of celebrities, $5 million to Megan Thee Stallion. Now, these are unsubstantiated as far as I can tell right now. Maybe it'll come out. Yeah, she did get paid. Megan Thee Stallion, our twerking queen there. $3 million to Lizzo, $1.8 million for Eminem, $1 million for Oprah. Wouldn't Oprah have more pull than Megan Thee Stallion? Wouldn't she be able to charge more? Maybe she did just get a production fee company or a production company fee. $3 million to Lizzo. I mean, what does that actually buy her? Well, what we do know for a fact is that this set here that Kamala Harris put together in a hotel. This is the Call Her Daddy podcast. This was her main big one, and it actually did far worse than the Club Shay Shay podcast. They spent $1 million. Now, I've listened to this. You're going to have to listen to this for just a second. I'm not going to torture you like the last one, but okay, here we go. This is Call Her Daddy. This is a podcast with the 𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗦𝗢𝗡, which I'm sure you're all familiar.
President Trump recently told women, "You will be protected and I will be your protector." What do you make of that?
So he who, when he was president, hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did just as he intended. And there are now 20 states with Trump abortion bans, including bans that make no exception for rape or incest, which we just discussed, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body they don't have a right to make a decision.
Venezuelan migrant arrested 13 times in a year, and he's still not deported. So anything that's controversial or can get me in trouble, I run on the news for thereasonabletv.com. That's the News for Reasonable People private site. It's $3.99 a month. You can get a 14-day free trial. It's as cheap as you're going to get out there for the content and the amount of content that we're putting out. And we're putting out more content on this channel because censorship. All right. Thanks for considering. Clearly, that is a podcast. It's a demographic of about 30-year-old females. And that podcast, they spent $100,000 on the set. And last I checked, I wasn't even able to find the actual video of the extended. It's like an hour long. Kamala Harris was able to do, the 𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗦𝗢𝗡 podcast for an hour, but she could barely get through half an hour of Bret Baier on Fox. And she refused to do Joe Rogan at 3 hours because that's about how far Rogan goes. 3 hours so they can really kind of get into stuff. She refused. She said, no, you come to us and we'll do an hour. And Joe said, no, 3 hours and you come to me. And that's fair because he's got a schedule. He's got stuff going on. But they spent literally $100,000 on this set, which from what I can tell, didn't even really include much in the way of sound insulation or anything like that. It did have a carpet on the ground, but it's basically just a bunch of colors so that they can mimic her studio, wherever Call Her Daddy, Alex Cooper, is located. So $100K in the set. I don't know if she was paid anything. Alex Cooper was paid anything. But if that's the case, her return, let's just say her return on just the YouTube video, she probably made a few grand. I don't know what her CPM or RPM is, and those are metrics of how much advertisers pay you. but it can't be high if your demographic is 30-year-old women. They just don't make a lot of money, right? Relative to my demographic, which is 45 to 65. That's my demographic because I'm old. I'm right in the middle of there. I'm 56. So you got a video that's got less than 1 million views. Maybe you make $3 or $4 grand on that. And Kamala Harris spent $100,000 and lost in one of the biggest landslides in American history. So make this make sense. It just doesn't, does it? It's just it's wild. It's wild. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit here to finish out. This is something that I saw from Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart blows up key theory on why Dems got shellacked. Now, we're not going to watch the video because I want to be able to go through it. And this article goes through it. In his first Daily Show monologue in the aftermath of Donald Trump's presidential election win, Jon Stewart grappled with the question of why things went so poorly for Democrats. He showed a montage of clips of news pundits arguing that Democrats lost because they had gone too woke, which they had. I have only one problem with the woke theory, Stewart replied. I just didn't recall seeing any Democrats running on woke shit. These were the commercials I saw for the Democrats, Stewart said, showing a montage of Democrat campaign ads expressing conservative stances on immigration. Those are the Democrats, Stewart said. They didn't talk about pronouns. They didn't say Latinx. It was the opposite because they've been called out in the last 3.5 years. They did run on that nonsense. They had a wide open border and they did offend Latinos by calling them Latinx. And they did say, oh, you got to call me they, them. That was a thing. But when all of these stories finally started coming out in the polls and the Democrats realized, oh, this isn't a winner. Oh, the southern border being wide open. Oh, good Lord. I mean, in early 2024, that's when the southern border started to just get cinched up, right? And the numbers have been way, way down since then because all of a sudden Sleepy Joe is like, oh, I made it off the stage, but this whole southern border thing, it's not going to go my way. So we got to do something. Mexico, help us out. So it was a day late, dollar short effort, in my opinion. And the fact that he is bringing this up kind of really, really tells you what the Democrats missed and what they are famous for, which is misunderstanding their demographic, which is the American people, and not recognizing that, hey, you can't switch stuff up at the tail end. You can't put a DEI hire out as the president of the United States who doesn't have a skill set to run the country when all she's done is basically not prosecute people and let a bunch of people go in San Francisco. And in the Senate, she's this far left figure, defund the police, all that crap. And all of a sudden, oh, no, I'm tough on crime. I'm the only one here in this presidential election where I have fought against the bad guys. And I'm like, you didn't do a good job because look at California. So, you know what I'm saying? Stewart later added, they didn't do the woke thing. They acted like Republicans for the last 4 months. That right there tells you everything. They realized that they were a losing hand. And hey, the American people realize inflation, southern border policies in general, don't like all this they, them woke nonsense. Don't want to pay for surgeries of, folks that are in prison. I'm not feeling like a man today. I'm feeling like a woman. All right, that's great. We're not going to whack it off and pay for it. It's on you, buddy. But that is federal law. And so they wore camo hats and went to Cheney family reunions. Do you know how dangerous it is to wear a hunting hat around the Cheneys? I mean, he's trying to be funny there, but it's not working. And it didn't work. And they got shellacked as a result. As for Stewart's theory of why Democrats lost, he offered Democrats were mostly running against an identity that was defined for them based on a couple of months of post-George Floyd, defund the police, Me Too Instagram post from 4 years ago. Now, they ran on that for 4 years and it screwed them like a P. Diddy party without the lube. No other way to say it. You know what I mean? Stewart continued, the country felt like government wasn't working for them, and the Democrats in particular were taking their hard-earned money and giving it to people who didn't deserve it as much as them. And so the Democrats got shellacked. He literally uses that word. Yes, that is correct. Them switching things up at the end doesn't count because it just means you virtue signaling your beliefs instead of actually standing for what the American people wanted. And they spoke in droves. And now you've got President, House, Senate, Supreme Court, popular vote, electoral vote. I mean, that is an absolute shellacking, right? Then he goes on to say, Stewart offered some hope for Democrats, however. I just want to please assure people this isn't forever. This is a map in 1984 when Ronald Reagan won. He showed the electoral map where Democrats lost every single state but Minnesota, a beautiful red America. Everyone thought that's the end of Democrats, but 8 years later, there was a Democrat back in office. We don't know what's going to happen in 4 years at all. No, we don't. No, we don't. But we know what's happening right now is, just got through a shellacking. Right there. I'll leave you with that. Thanks again for being here. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now. If you're enjoying this channel, you can also head on over to reasonabletv.com. We've got all of our content on there, including our member content. Here's a video we just dropped.